They've got us completely swarmed. Do you have any ammo?
Swarm? A swarm of what? Bees?
No, Henry, zombies. They're coming after us.
What are you talking about?
It's me. I dressed up as an apocalypse zombie survivor. Hello?
Oh, that makes a lot of sense because we're doing a horror episode this week on EasyMode, the gaming podcast all about gaming.
That's right, and that's your host, Henry K. Even with your eyes closed, he still haunts you.
It's true, I will. 1, 2, she's coming for you. 3, 4, you better shut that door because that's your host, Delayed Dale.
And this is EasyMode.
It's true, Dale. How are you this week?
It's, I felt like my performance there was great. I do hear an Oscar calling for me. Kidding. Probably a Razzie with that performance. I've been great.
Nominated for Best Actress in a YouTube video gaming podcast. Delayed Dale.
I love this. You know what?
That's it. No one else.
If you watch the YouTube video, you'll see that iconic performance. I will say this has been a great week for me. Just been like catching up on work, being busy. It's like I find like the beginning of the year is always super busy with work and stuff. But how have you been?
I've had a good week. I actually got my booster this week, so I was a little under the weather. So I stayed home from work a few days. I did do some casual gaming on the computer, as one does when you're home, because it's comforting.
You know what's funny? You say casual gaming. I just want everybody to know that Henry's casual game is Valorant. It's Valorant. There's nothing casual about the way he plays. I just want to say that. Oh, just casual gaming. No. That furrowed brow, there's no sweat because constantly patting it away. Okay, that's right. Called you out, but yeah.
Sweaty in game and in real life.
That's true.
Sometimes Valorant can be a lot like what we're going to talk about this week, Dale.
Yeah.
Valorant sometimes is a horror game. And that is the topic of this week's episode.
Yes, which is really exciting because when you think of horror, a lot of people tend to stray away from it. However, I will let you guys know that I scare very easily. And I have played many horror games by myself. So the way we've broken up this episode is the first segment is solo games that you can play all by yourself. You could play with somebody else if they're in the room and holding your hand, but then you can't play with the controller and then you're going to die. So maybe don't let them hold your hand. Number 2, we have co-op horror games. Games you can play with a friend. You want to laugh while you get chased and, potentially get murdered? Yeah, you can play with your friends.
Watching your friends die, always fun.
Let's laugh at that. And then finally, Henry is bringing forward some creepypastas in games, which is quite exciting.
We got the creepypastas for you today, Dale.
Is it lasagna?
It's worse.
I don't know what's worse than lasagna, but that's what we have planned today. Before we get into that, Henry, what have you been playing this week?
This week, I have been playing a lot of something we're going to talk about in this episode, and that is The Forest. I mentioned it before, but I've been playing it again. I don't want to dive into it too much, so because we are going to talk about it later. What have you been playing, Dale?
I've been playing this game. It's called Baba Is You. Have you heard of it?
No, but apparently I am Baba, so I should know. Tell me.
So Baba Is You is this like very cute like puzzle game. And it's just like you move the blocks and you move certain things unlock certain things. It's all puzzles. It's strictly all puzzles. I'm not going to lie to you. A couple of the puzzles had me stumped, so I had to look up the solution. But it's a great game. And I did that to just like unwind. Because the way I unwind is by torturing my brain into solving things. So I just
I'm proud of you.
About myself.
I'll look things up in a second. So I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I don't know. I'm done. And then I'll just Google it. And I'm like, okay, great. I got it. Next thing. And then we'll see. We'll start over again.
We'll see how long we can do it, But yes, let's completely just dive on into this week's episode. We have a lot to talk about. A lot of spooks. A lot of, scaries in the nighttime. The lights are off. But the topics are about to start. I don't know what that was. Let's just continue. Otherwise, I am going to keep going.
Wait, it would segue, Dale. Let's get started on this episode.
Henry, do you play games by yourself?
Yes, often.
Often? Okay, how about horror games?
Surprise answer for me. But what about you, Dale?
Surprise answer for you? What do you mean?
We'll save it for later. Let me talk about it later. I'm shy.
Okay.
I'm scared. Horror.
No, I'm afraid too. I constantly need my hand held. However, I have played quite a bit of horror games by myself, but I mean, it wasn't like truly by myself because I was streaming it. So it was like people were watching me and all the lights were on. So, but it was still scary. It was quite scary. This section, to all our listeners and viewers who are watching, is all about the horror games that we have played solo. Solo games, solo fright in the night, in the daylight. You know, there's many opportunities to feel your heart rate increase. I'll be honest with you, some of these games, my heart rate peaked at one game, my heart rate peaked at 144.
Oh my gosh.
That is insane. So
sometimes my heart rate peaks outside of horror games, but that's a different type of horror, not the type we're talking about, which is the video games.
No, every now and then I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I almost fainted, but that's different.
Sometimes I wake up and my heart's racing, but that's for therapy and not this episode.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to dive into the games that I've played myself. So the very first horror game I've ever played was Alien Isolation. I did not realize it was a horror game. Okay, I should have known. Like, Alien is an iconic movie. Yeah. I saw it was on sale for like $9, so I bought it, and then I had told my like boyfriend at the time and his friend, we were all in like a Discord voice chat, and I was like, guys, I bought Alien. I'm so excited to play. And they're like, you bought Alien? You scare easily. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a horror game. What? It's a horror game. So got Alien. That's how I started going into streaming and such. And it was one of the scariest games I've ever played, mostly because it was the first scary game that I've ever played. And the AI learns your behavior. And so I would hide a lot. And then the freaking alien would learn that I was hiding, pull me out of lockers. I was freaking out. But when I beat that game, Henry, I'm not going to lie to you, I felt like very sentimental. Like I almost started crying. You know, I almost started crying. I did beat it. Yeah.
Very impressive.
Because it was like I beat a horror game from beginning to end. And you know what's even scarier about that game? Space. Space scares me.
You are scared of space.
I am afraid of space. And so
what specifically?
Everything. It's just so like I can't even get into it without like feeling some sort of fear.
I guess makes sense.
A little bit of a tangent. A little bit of a tangent. So there's a lot of people who are afraid of space. And there was this article I read online that was for therapists. How to help your patient if they're afraid of space. Reassure them that they're not going to space anytime soon.
I said that's what I was about to say. I was going to say, I'm like, babe, you ain't got to worry. You ain't going up there.
I know, but I feel like that's terrible advice. Anyway,
unless
so
like Elon Musk force us on a freaking spaceship.
I will die on Earth. I will die on Earth. So yeah, Alien was the first one I ever played. It was amazing. And what's really cool about it is that there's pretty cool parallels between the movie and the game. And then they've released such like cool DLCs for the game too.
DLC? I didn't know I had that.
Yeah, it has a lot of DLCs. And people can speed run the game. So the way that they like speed run the game is by like crouching a lot so that the alien doesn't actually know that they're running. They like cheat the system.
Oh my gosh, funny.
So like they're just like crouch, like super like amazing. Then I've played Amnesia. Have you played that game before?
No, but I've watched a lot of people play it. I love that game.
Do you get scared when you watch people play it?
No. Unless it's a jump scare.
I love how you just said that. No, I'm good. I'm stable. Not me. So I played it. Terrifying. And you know what's really cool about that game? Low budget. Still iconic to this day regarding like the fear factor.
Yeah.
And there was one level, and you've watched the gameplay, so you know what I'm talking about. The water level where
terrifying.
There's that, like, what's crazy about it is you actually never see the monster, but this like fear and the sounds, and they did that with such a low budget. I almost fainted playing that one level. I was like freaking out.
There's nothing scarier than what you know, than what you don't know. Sorry.
No, what you don't know, and you can't fight back.
You can't fight back. You're like,
nope.
What you don't see is scarier than what you do see. And I think horror is one of those genres in gaming where the budget does not necessarily contribute to the success or the effectiveness of what they're trying to convey. And horror is just a genre for that.
Yes. You know, there's this huge misconception that everything needs to be like gory, to be horror and scary. And the next game that I'm going to like talk about here is gory, horror, and scary. But this is kind of besides the point. So Outlast was the next game I tried after Amnesia. Have you heard of Outlast? Have you watched any gameplay or played it yourself?
I've seen a few clips from it, but that's not one I've really dived in.
It's terrifying. You are in this like asylum. And, you know, you're a reporter. Obviously, it's always the reporters. Right. It's always the reporters. That game, I couldn't get through. I had to stop. It was simply too scary because it's like one of those resource management things where if you run out of battery on your camera, you can't see. So you're playing in the dark. It's like pitch black. And then you kept dying. It was me who kept dying. So I simply could not. And these kind of games where you cannot fight back are so traumatizing for me because I am helpless. Like I can't, this is actually real life. Yeah. These kind of games remind me of like, if this was me in real life, I couldn't fight back. I have to run and hide, and honestly, I don't think I could hide because
there's a few scary things about that. First of all, journalism degree. Terrifying. Where's my future? Second of all, resource management. I can't do it IRL, and I especially can't do that in video games. And I don't know what it is about the horror genre where they make you manage your resources. Not only are you in a terrifying situation, but you also have to make sure you're like managing things well. You have to have like your like administrative hat on and like budget your resources in game. I can't do that in real life. How am I going to do that in a terrifying situation?
Also, when they make you hide and you have to like be silent, I could never be silent IRL. No. My heart rate's too much. I can't hold my breathing, or like I don't know. My friends.
Go ahead.
You continue. You actually what?
I actually watched a horror movie last night, and some people weren't able to be quiet. So when they were hiding in the movie, I was holding my breath to see if I would survive because they were being so damn loud. And I was like, I can do it. I was like, shut up. I was like, just hold your breath. I was like, I'm doing it right now.
You're not in that level of fear. You're not in that level of fear like they can, right?
I'm different, built different.
You're built different. Okay, I didn't know this. Henry, this is kind of a little bit off topic. I mean, it goes with like the next kind of genre of stuff that I'm talking about, but are you afraid of ghosts?
A little bit, yes. I will be honest and say yes. They're scary.
Yeah. Have you ever had like a paranormal activity or seen anything IRL?
Nope. I would not be here if I did.
You know, I have so many friends who have. I have so many friends who have.
My soul would have left my body in that moment, and that would have been it. You would have never seen me again. Goodbye.
Okay, wow.
Yep.
I feel like we're the same. I never have either, but something about it just like shakes me to my core. Have you heard of this game? It's called Visage.
Yeah.
So they released the game by chapters. And so I think they only have 3 chapters out right now, but it is one of those games, again, where you can't actually fight back, and heavily resource management. Resource management, cannot fight back, and puzzles. I mean, what is this? What is this? I need to have like a well-lit room if I'm going to do puzzles.
If I'm in a horror situation in IRL and you're wanting me to solve a damn puzzle to get out, literally screw off. Get out of here.
Leave.
You do the puzzle.
You're not the moment. Get
out. You love
puzzles
so much, you do them. Person who's put me in this situation, you do a puzzle. I don't have the time.
What in the saw? Literally, like, what in the saw is happening right now? So yeah, Visage was like that. I only got through 2 chapters because the 3rd chapter, that was Dolores. I have a lot of resentment for you, Dolores. I was screaming so much and my chat was scaring me so much, so I would scream on top of screams. I ended up damaging my vocal cords. So I went to the doctor and she's like, you need to be put on vocal rest, which is basically medically shut the fuck up. And I've not played a horror game since because of that. She said if I had kept going, I would have had like permanent damage, which is terrifying to think about.
I do remember we were getting to know each other around that time. And I remember I was like, this bitch lost her voice playing a fucking video game. I was like,
yeah,
she is screaming and like medically to the point of losing her voice. I was like, what the hell is going on over there? And then I was like, maybe I should start a podcast with her.
And now look at, here we are.
Here we are.
So yeah, Visage, terrifying. I would recommend it if you really like horror. If anyone's listening and they just like love the horror genre, do it. Because it is a spooky game. And Dolores' chapter is quite scary because she's the kind of ghost that doesn't give a fuck. Like the other ghosts will do jump scares, but Dolores will like follow you around. She'll like turn her head over the corner, like smile. It's terrifying.
Dolores. F Dolores in the chat.
F Dolores.
Dolores, you got some haters, and we're right here on EasyMode podcast.
It's Dale. Dale is your number 1 hater, Dolores. Dale versus Dolores. Who would win?
Number 2,
obviously Dolores. Yeah, so moving on, final game for Dale that I'm currently trying to work through. And by currently, I mean I got halfway through and people are like, when are you going to play again? And I keep saying, next time. I haven't picked it up yet. Dead Space. Apparently Dead Space, the first one, is one of the scariest games ever. And the release of its time, it was, I mean, I don't blame the people who say that it was one of the scariest games. It is scary. Yeah. There's a lot of jump scare factors to this game, and that's what I think makes it scary. The overall mechanics is like you fight back. It also is in space, so you know me and my fear of space, so that's not great.
When you say you're working through it, do you mean with your therapist? Because
wow, I feel called out here. You know what? I simply just want to talk about a game that's scary, and here I am getting called out about my fears.
It's your biggest fear. You write a whole article about it on like therapy.com or what?
I did read something about it, but Dead Space is amazing. If anybody here who has not played it, I would recommend it. It's a bit challenging too. There is like an aspect of resource management and like how you upgrade your suit and deciding what upgrades you want to do. Again, if this was me IRL, I would have given up, but like this is the thing for Dale.
freaking be a tailor and upgrade my suit? No.
No.
In
I
a life
simply
or death
just don't want.
situation?
No. Also, I don't have the stamina to keep running. At what point, like, when do you take a bathroom break? When do you eat?
Yeah, when do you eat?
Yeah.
Most important things are mine. Or it's time for my hobbies.
Henry, now that I've kind of gone through the games that I've played, tell me about the games that you've played or games that you want to play. And also, I did ask you, do you play horror games? You're like, I want to save that for later. So tell me, what are we saving for later? Give us that answer.
am saving it for later, Dale. So big confession on me, even though I love the horror genre, I'm such a big fan. I do not play a lot of solo horror games. Probably because I grew up as an only child and my mom didn't let me play anything like remotely spooky. One of my favorite ones, and this is a fun game that never came out, so sad, but did get so much hype, it was called PT. It was short for playable teaser. It didn't really have a title, the game at the time. But it was a game developed by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro. It was like a first person, and I want to say it was VR, but I think it was also available in not VR. And it's this sort of game demo where you're looping the same corridor in a house over and over and over. And there's puzzles to solve, and there's a lot of jump scares, and it gets scarier and scarier every time. And there's sort of a developing story, but the villain in that game is this very tall, creepy woman who through every loop of you're just looping the same hallway in this house over and over. You get to the end, there's a door, the door opens to the place where you spawned in. And it gets scary. You're sort of getting more and more story. It is terrifying. There's this tall woman who like you said, she'll peek. Maybe she's friends with Dolores. I don't know. She'll peek around the corners. If you look up, sometimes she'll be through certain loops. She'll be watching you from the upstairs. She'll be in different places at different times. And she is terrifying. Tall, has to be 7 foot.
Oh my God,
scary woman.
Okay, so
and
she's
it
got
is scary.
feet on me. She's got feet on me.
The game never came out.
Why?
It got a lot of praise. I'm not sure what happened exactly. It got a lot of praise on its graphics and scares. I think it got mixed reviews on its gameplay, but I mean that game was scary. Mm-hmm. Very, very scary.
Damn, that sounds terrifying. I hate this idea of sorry to interrupt. I hate this idea of just you want to get out. No, we're back where we started. It's just a loop of horror that. The idea that there's no actual escape. And recently I saw a TikTok where it was just how you describe, where it was just open the door and it was the same thing and you're just living hell over and over and over again.
That is a real nightmare. In a genuine concept, if you had to go through that, no, nothing worse.
Yeah.
Nothing worse.
Another
video game series I like is the Silent Hill series.
Yeah.
Again, I never played it. It just has I love the story in that one. The story really makes it sort of the lost child, the lost wife, the lost husband, the need to explore in this sort of unknown. And there's sort of this half and half where you know everything, but the main character knows nothing. In this sort of split, divided world that's sharing an existence. And, everything's within reach, but also not. There's something a lot of dread in there, but it also has a lot of I think classic, not classic to say movie wise, but the horror elements of gaming. I think it has a lot of the classic ones. So it has ghosts. It does have jump scares. It does have creepy carnival. It does have scary nurse. Those sort of general elements are all mixed into the Silent Hill series, and I think they're done really well. Mm-hmm. I like them. I think they're a blast.
I've heard of them, and there's the movies too. I've not seen or played, but I know how iconic they are. So thank you for bringing that up, because I totally forgot about the impact on us, social media, and everything.
Some games that are recently coming to the Nintendo Switch are Fatal Frame and Fatal Frame 2. Fatal Frame is a horror game that's based on photography. So
great.
You're a young girl and you are solving a mystery. So like a lot of these horror games, it has puzzles, it has jump scares, it has sort of very creepy atmosphere, and it's not a fast-paced game. A lot of the things, you have a camera at your side, and that's really the main tool. You use it to fight ghosts, you use it to find clues, you use it to put together puzzles. Those things are coming to Nintendo Switch. Very, very well-known games. I would definitely recommend them. I think I would enjoy watching you play them, Dale, actually.
Am I going to lose my voice again? We're kind of at...
I don't think it's that scary, to that point. But it's
that meme? You know that meme? You know me. No, I don't.
No, I don't.
No, that's kind of what I was saying. I mean, I'll look into it. I'm not a big fan of playing any kind of graphics intensive game on the Switch. I just don't think it's worth. Is it available on PC? Because I I like kind of more of a immersive experience versus like my Switch is cozy. I don't want to like associate it with like getting scared at night. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's not graphics intensive actually. I mean, and these games
okay.
came out a long time ago, so it's sort of just like remasters of like older games. So they're not relatively. I think it was like PS2 time, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn. Okay. Well, I'll definitely have a look at it. It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, Henry, this has been really cool. Like especially chatting about solo games. And to anyone who's listening or watching, please let us know what was your favorite like horror solo game that you've played. What have you kind of touched upon? Did we miss? What did we not touch on your favorite? Let us know, because keeping in mind here, Dale has stopped playing horror and Henry is more of a horror watcher. But in the next segment, we will be talking about co-op horror, because that is something that we both have experience in and Henry definitely likes to thrive. So we're going to take a little bit of a quick break and we'll be right back.
Be right back.
This next segment is for individuals who don't like to play alone. They need their hand held and some laughter and comfort along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Comfort. The irony here is comfort, but these games I personally don't find comfort in. It's all about co-op horror, games that you can play with others, games you can play with friends, a genre and category that you absolutely love, Henry. And fun fact, one of the games that we're going to talk about is how we became friends and how like this whole dynamic and the start of even like maybe it was like the seed of EasyMode was planted when we did that thing.
It was a disaster seed for sure.
It was a disaster seed. See, we live and we grow. But Henry, why don't you start? Because you have played way more co-op than I have. So I'm curious to hear, and I'll chime in with some of my experiences along the way.
Co-op horror games really are my favorite way to do the horror genre. Mainly because I think if we're going to do something scary, I also want to be able to laugh along the way. I think that just makes the experience more full and round. And I think that's awesome. Also, like, not take like life or death situations seriously. But when I think of being in those situations, not alone, but with my friends, I just feel like I would laugh. Like, you know, let's say like you, me, and like 3 other people are like saw trapped in a room. I would laugh that this happened to us. Like, I just think like there's no way I wouldn't laugh at the situation being with my friends. And even if it's scary, and I would take it seriously, of course, but I'd be like, oh my God, we're fucking trapped in this house, bitch. What are we gonna do? I just feel like there's no way I wouldn't find that funny, especially with my group of friends.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get that from me. You're going to get probably Dale is going to lay down and just like give up. Like Dale has
Just
to know
lay flat
desire
on the
to
floor.
keep going. But yeah, so one of the games that what we're going to just like start off right off the bat is a game where the sequel will be coming out soon, which we are super excited for. You more than me. I'll be honest, this game did terrify me. It's The Forest. Henry, you've played so many hours of The Forest. I have played The Forest just for like the storyline. Tell me what you love about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. You know, just tell me it all.
I don't think there's anything I don't like about The Forest. The Forest has a lot of my favorite elements. One of them being crafting, which I don't feel like you see in horror games too often, like base building. That's something I really enjoy in video games, and The Forest has it. So for everyone who doesn't know The Forest, the premise of the game is that you get in a plane crash, you end up on this island where there are cannibals who are trying to eat you. You know, we say cannibals. Well, no, we know they're cannibals. We see them eat it. Cannibals are trying to eat you, and you are trying to find tools and figure out the story of the game and the way to get to the end of the game. The game is very, very free. It's very open world. There is no push or like the game does not guide you to the end, and there is no push to really find anything you need. It's really all exploratory and based on what you want to do at that time. The game has speed runs. The game also has people who play it. That's like, how long can I survive? Some people play the game for a lot of base building and really, you know, that's their main focus of what they want to do, base building with their friends. But there's no thing that you have to do to start the game. There are items and things that help you progress, but you could never get them, and you could just like sort of struggle through the game.
It's actually really cool that you did say that. I do want to add that when the plane crashed, your son was taken from you. So the whole, if you want to follow the storyline, it's to find your son. Yeah. And without spoiling anything, there's many layers of depth, and the story is really, really deep and good. I'll be completely honest with you. I did speedrun the game just to get the story. I did not I am terrified of cannibals, okay? Like, and the jumping, I'm not great with crafting, and then nighttime came, I didn't have any fire or resources, and I refused to eat the people that I killed, okay? I know, like, when I was playing with this individual, he'd always just, like, be eating the people that we'd kill, and I was like, no, I'm only gonna eat fish and fruit. I refuse to eat humans. So, like, there's so many different ways of playing it, and then people go, you know, people who do, like, 100% achievements, there's an achievement where you just vegetarian. No meat. That is crazy.
I know.
So that game is great for people who enjoy that kind of game.
Yeah, there's really so much you could do with it. I would recommend it. Playing it with your friends, it gets silly. The game mechanics are a little funny and wild. Sometimes there's some wild physics in the game, and that always makes for like a fun time. This game came out some time ago, and like Dale said, there's a sequel coming, I believe releasing this year. I want to say like March or May of 2022.
That's going to have a huge launch. Huge.
Yes.
I know that people have been waiting for that for years.
I'm going to be streaming it for sure. I'm definitely going to be making videos on it just because I love the game so much. I know I will really enjoy that. But play it with your friends, especially, I mean, if you want to play the regular Forest before Forest 2 comes out, I'm sure they'll lower the price or have some sort of sale on it.
Oh yeah, it's always on sale. I got mine on sale too. So there's always horror sales. Pick up the games that you want.
Yeah.
So another game that we both have played.
Yeah. They're very popular.
Very popular. It's almost like a little bit cultic. Not gonna lie. You either love it or you hate it. Phasmophobia.
Yes.
How do you feel about Phasmophobia?
I love Phasmophobia at the launch, and this game really created a genre of its own for the horror gamers. A lot of games have come that are sort of adapting the Phasmophobia style, the Phasmophobia gameplay and mechanics. But this game really sort of broke its way through the horror genre and sort of set a bar, and a high bar still, for this like ghost hunting realistic adventure. Now, recently they've made some updates and changes. This game is consistently changing.
It's so hard.
I think even this week they just launched some new content on it. I believe something about the mannequin. I saw something on Twitter about it last night, and I was like, "Oh, it sounds scary," but I want to check it out. But I love Phasmophobia at launch. It was a silly, fun, broken time. They've really upped the difficulty on the game. I do play it a little less now, but I used to play it all the time. And now this game is, even though it is a co-op game, it is something that when I was streaming, I would solo, mainly because I enjoyed it so much.
Oh, I could not play that game solo. It was one of my objectives for like a subathon. I died every single time. It's one of those games where I liked playing with friends more than I did like playing with myself. And I couldn't play it for too long because I found that the actions got a little too repetitive for me.
Yep.
And some of the mechanics I wasn't super vibing with. However, I will say I did have some frightening moments. And overall, I would rank this game as categorize this game as like a cozy horror game because people can just like, they find comfort just like playing it. You know, they vibe.
Yeah.
So people have like thousands of hours in this game. They're like professional level, whatever. Like people, this is their comfy like horror game, which is kind of like a weird sub genre. We talked about cozy a few episodes back, and now we have like a cozy horror game. At least how I would. And I've heard some other people say it too. But yeah, Phasmo, it's not going anywhere. People still love it. Still scary. I still see the memes online. So yeah, it is what it is.
I'm happy for the game. Even if I don't play it anymore, I'm happy for everyone who does.
And I'm happy for my friends who do.
Good content from a great development company who's putting the work in the game.
Yeah. I mean, people love it. It's not going anywhere, and that's amazing.
Now, the next one, Dale, is a game you and I have a crap ton of hours in. I have 1,800 plus hours in this game. I would have more if I didn't stop playing it. From when I started, but that is Dead by Daylight. I've worn the beanie on the show. I have so many hours in that. And that game is still alive and thriving and growing today.
Oh, and you want to know something that's crazy about this game?
Tell me.
They just released the player test beta for the new Ringu chapter, and she is terrifying. They're always adding new killers, and then like, they do like the different franchise or like the different DLC. This killer is really interesting because she has two Moris. She has the ability to like swap between TVs to come and get you. If you don't put your tape in like a TV or like I have not played against her, but I was just like reading like a little bit of a summary. She can Mori you if you get to a certain point. Terrifying. Also, she comes out of a well and she's just scary. You know, I never watched The Ring. I just saw the meme of the girl who like punched her in the face, like like that's all I've seen. So the game is getting scarier. You know, when they added in the artist, I hate playing against the artist. You know, some of these killers are just getting quite frightening. And as much as I love this game, I still do get scared every now and then, you know? It's especially as you play as a survivor because you never know what's like creeping around the corner.
I know, it is good. And then when the killers are really good, you're like, frick. The chase music's fantastic.
Oh my God.
The animations are fantastic. It's so much fun. But we're both sweaty survivors, unfortunately.
Though I have been playing as Killer recently, and I am terrible. I am toxic and terrible. Two T's, okay?
I think maybe I've played Killer, I would say like no more than like 30 times, even though I have 1,800 plus hours in the game.
Wow.
Because I'm not that great at it. And then everyone starts teabagging at me and it just makes
they're
me
so
sad.
mean. Yeah, so you want to be the teabagger, not the teabaggy.
I don't teabag unless they're
okay.
rude. I'm not a toxic gamer. Unless someone else starts it, then I'm ready to dish it out.
Yeah, I'm ready to like throw fists, but I'm the same way as you. But yeah, we love Dead by Daylight here. It's one of those games too that anybody can play. It's not super frightening in the sense that like I wouldn't recommend Alien to everybody. Okay,
Yeah.
that's frightening. But Dead by Daylight, you can play with friends, you can laugh. You can also play by yourself, so it's not to the point where you cannot play it. So yeah,
and it's not too hard. It's difficult at first. I'd say the learning curve is high, but once you get it, you got it. It doesn't take that long.
No, it really doesn't.
All right, and the last one I want to touch on, and this game, I'm actually going to mention two in this general category, and that I'm going to start off with Left 4 Dead.
Oh, yes.
Yes, zombie mobs,
We love
sort of a big
zombie,
genre in horror, actually.
Yes.
A different style, a little more
Did you play
action-based.
it? Have you played?
Left 4 Dead, no. But the game I did want to mention, and we can touch on it a little bit later, is Back 4 Blood, which recently had a beta and now a full launch. But they're very, very similar. Sort of four-person zombie mob survival, making it to safe houses in between. A lot of resource management, which I'm like, ugh, roll my eyes on that. But great with friends and sort of similar game style. Wouldn't you say?
I would agree. I do own Back 4 Blood, but I've never played it. I just haven't had the time. And then for Left 4 Dead, I did play with some friends, but I didn't play it on previous consoles because I think it was like on a console first and to switch to PC.
I want to say PlayStation, but I could be wrong on that.
Because like some of my friends are like, oh yeah, like Bill and these characters, these are like they like grew up with this. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. It's because I didn't grow up with this kind of game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my friends who, like, you know how we had talked about like the last episode, our first consoles, our first games. Some of my friends have strictly played only horror games as their first games or their first kind of like introduction to gaming.
Yeah.
So this was like a big thing for them. This was their staple of their childhood. And for me, I was like, what? Like Bill and Dead by Daylight, Left 4 Dead, right? Like that's. I didn't even know, right? So it's amazing. I like the game a lot. It's also very comforting. But what's interesting is that there's so many different types of zombies or monsters. Like there's the witch who's crying, and then if you shoot her, she kills you. Like you have to go by really quietly. And then there's the one that like just runs up and explodes, or like the tanks and stuff. Like there's so many different types of zombies, and there's different types of like weaponry too. I do love me a good weapon. I do love me a good weapon. So I do love that game. But for Back 4 Blood, I've not played, but it looks amazing, so I might have to try it out.
Those are the only games. That's the only game, like Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood, that I will use like a sniper in. I don't know why. I think it like calls my name. I think I would try it in real life. I'll like stand at a distance and like I don't snipe in any game except that. But you know what's interesting, Dale? Like there are repetitive game styles within the horror genre. I mean, within every gaming genre,
of course.
But I feel like they're a lot more noticeable in the horrible genre. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk. In the horror genre, like Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, Phasmophobia, and there's a lot of other games like that. Devour, Slenderman. There's like subgenres within the horror genre, and we're not going to get into it this episode, but maybe another episode that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, tweet us if you'd like to know more. We can dive right into it because we're only talking right now about like this is a co-op game. The last segment was like solo games, but there are games that we never like dove into regarding solo versus co-op. Like we could talk about what is it called? My Neighbor, Hello Neighbor.
Yeah,
that one
Hello
is like a co-op.
Neighbor.
Yeah, because that one's solo, but also co-op, and there's like different play modes. We could talk about games that have like the survival instinct, but it's not horror, but it actually is horror. You know, what gets your heart rate spiking? I feel like that could be its own genre itself.
Yeah, there's a lot more we can dive into, and we definitely will in further episodes.
Yes, this has been really cool. Which of the ones that we've talked about is your favorite?
My favorite one we talked about is The Forest. As I said, I can play that for hours now, and as soon as The Forest 2 launches, I'm going to be playing it for hours then as well.
Yeah, I probably will never see you again. We might have to take a hiatus.
Rip our
for
relationship. Or actually, I might force you to play the game, and I'll just
you actually
I'll do everything for you, and you can just stand there. I'll get your food. I'll build your shelter.
But the thing is, when I play, why do they always come after me? Like they don't go after the experienced player. They just like know that I'm like the baby, and then they just like, oh God.
You're like just standing still, running away, panicked.
I am running away panic, as you know. For me, it would have to be Dead by Daylight. It's just one of those games I can play by myself. I can play with my friends. When I play with my friends, it's either strategy or we're like talking some mad crap, you know, like we're laughing. It's one of those games you don't have to take seriously. And I really just enjoy that. It's one of those games I can play with my brain turned off because I don't want to have my brain on all the time. It's tough.
That is funny that we enjoy the horror genre as like a friendship vehicle and to have fun. Especially the co-op. I think the co-op really is distinguished from the solo in that way, where it is about good times with friends, unfortunately, even though you're doing something terrifying or scary and or difficult. But so much fun. I want to go on to the next section. I want to take a quick break first, but something I love in the horror genre, and as someone who loves horror movies, horror stories, horror films, this really brings in all of those things together with my love for gaming, and that is gaming creepypastas.
Oh, okay.
Are you a creepypasta fan?
No. I can't read. I can't read. No, I can read, but
I can't read.
I choose to not. My eyes don't work when I see creepypasta. It freaks me out too much. But I'm excited and a little bit terrified to hear what you have to say. So let's take a break, and I'm gonna take a sip of water.
It's not linguine, it's not lasagna, and it's not bow tie, but it's creepy. Gaming creepypastas, I freaking love, Dale. I love them.
Spaghetti that gives you the spooks.
I think that really covers it, and I think you sort of said it best there, and I think we're done.
I did. I know nothing about it. I just know that every now and then I come across some of these things on the internet, the creepypastas, and I just think, you know what? At what point did my comfort carb food turn into something that causes me so much stress? You know, at what point? But you know what? Continue.
I can't believe they took that from you.
They did. This is personal.
So everyone who doesn't know who creepypastas are basically internet rumors, internet stories that were created online that could be real, that could not be real, most likely not real, but are very fun, ooky, spooky stories. Some of them come with video visuals that you can look up on YouTube, pictures, alleged messages, alleged stories, things that happen. And that sort of like unknown element makes them fun and scary. Like I said, usually not real, but entertaining the idea of fear is like a great one. And a lot of them to do, especially with like older games and older gaming systems, are a lot more scary because it's like the internet wasn't as prevalent at the time. So how do we know if it was right or wrong? It's all rumors. What if it really happened?
I mean, don't tell me if it did.
The first one I want to tell you about, and a lot of these games have in common, is that they're not horror games, Dale.
Oh, what?
Yeah, there's nothing spookier than games that aren't meant to be spooky being spooky. Okay. And this one has a big sort of IRL impact, and something I even heard about as a growing up. But the first game I have a creepypasta for you is Pokemon.
What?
Yeah.
Pokemon? Okay.
Pokemon.
I'm
Pokemon actually has quite a few creepypastas, but one of the biggest one is called Lavender Town Syndrome.
Okay.
Yes. So the story is that the music in Lavender Town was like created and made with weird frequencies, and like there was like studies at the time that like these frequencies only affected children and young teens because, you know, their ears are like younger and fresher and they can hear. They're more sensitive. They can hear the frequencies.
Yeah, they never went to a concert. We get it. Continue.
They never just blasted music to drown their feelings out in their ears. I understand. But the story is that, and I believe this is based around Japan, I want to say. The story is that at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide and developed mental illnesses and afflictions from hearing the music that played when you entered the town of Lavender Town in the first Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow series.
What?
Yes. Allegedly over 200 children. And those who didn't those that didn't commit suicide complained, acted irrationally, acted weird, and suffered a lot of headaches from listening to that music from your Game Boy Color based on the Lavender Town syndrome because of that song. Now, I will say that Lavender Town in the Pokemon series, very, very sad time in the Pokemon arc. But also, the music in that town is very scary. It's sort of like, it sort of has that sort of like slow X-Files like theme songs like, and it's like sort of like dissonant and ooky spooky. She's laughing at me right now, everyone, while I'm trying to sing you this beautiful song.
The fact that this is kind of a little bit creepy. I'll be honest, because like the way that songs, and I've heard things about like music kind of hypnotizing individuals or like making them feel something. There's like there's a message in the beats between the lines, you know. So okay, continue. This is frightening.
And it's funny that you say that. As I was researching this creepypasta, there is a Google gives you suggested searches. One of them that was, why does the Lavender Town theme song give me headaches? So people are searching that.
Wow.
Now, I'd like to think that it's probably one of those things where like, oh, you've read it, you've heard the creepypasta, and now it's like in the back of your mind, and sort of it's like this like effect that you're like, oh no, I'm feeling it now too.
Oh yeah.
So very scary that those come up in Google. But this creepypasta, even though it's been around for a while, even in 2010, there was a YouTube video that appeared where someone used like music audio analyzing software, and it sort of turns the audio into visual. And that within that visual, there was a message, and the message said "Leave now." Sort of like the audio waves formed a message that said "Leave now" from the Lavender Town theme song, and I was like, that's so scary. Leave now.
I wonder what key it's in, because different keys convey different emotions. I want to look into this. I'm
key
a huge
of F in the chat because you're not going to be listening to that.
F major is so beautiful and warming and loving. Wow. I wonder, maybe it's F minor.
No, it's definitely a minor key because everything's very dissonant and like clashing.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to look this up after.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
And I'm going to tweet out saying, why do I have a headache? Because I didn't drink any water.
Lol, that's why. You're just
That's why.
No, it's not the Lavender Town theme song. You're just dehydrated and thirsty.
And with that, I'm going to take a sip while you go on to the next one.
Yes, the next one. So this is one, as I said, I'm a big YouTube watcher. I love YouTube. And creepypastas is one thing that I'm super, super into. Yeah. This is one of my favorites, mainly because it's so like cheap, slight gore, but like the content is just living on YouTube and you can just watch it. And the story is that there's this teen who got this like a PC port of Sonic the Hedgehog, the 1991 game, but everything was sort of like off at the very, very beginning. And what happens throughout the game is that you play as Tails, Knuckles, and like Dr. Robotnik. And it's almost like the music is off and you're playing as these characters running through the Sonic levels in that classic Sonic style. But there's like this fear element, and that sort of comes to like fruition at the end of every level where you're being chased. You're not running through the level. You're actually being chased, big fear of yours, by a like deranged Sonic who will always catch you by the end of the level. And then there's like a scary flash of like a deranged bloody Sonic and like a dead character, whoever you're playing, on screen at the end of every level. And then there is like scary messages to the player like, you'll never escape. Like,
well,
I will catch you.
Of course I'll never escape. I was never in track and field, and Sonic the Hedgehog goes fast. I can't go fast.
Gotta go fast. And
I can't.
You're not gonna go faster.
I'm scared now. Okay, wow.
Yeah, and that one you can watch on YouTube. It is spooky. Wow. Like, it is creepy. Like, you're like, is this a real game? Like,
what is it called again?
Slight, I don't remember the exact name of the creepypasta, but if you just look up Sonic creepypasta, it'll come up, and you can watch it. Yeah, you can watch those characters die at the end.
F in chat.
Yeah. And the last one I'm bringing to you today, I actually really like because it's sort of like so vast of a possibility that like I don't like completely like put it out of my head. And that is actually a Minecraft creepypasta called Herobrine.
Okay.
So according to the legend, Herobrine is like a ghost that haunts Minecraft single player worlds. It has to be single player, and you have to be playing by yourself. So there is this character in the game that looks like Steve, like the regular default Steve, but you know that it's not like a normal like player or character because his eyes don't have the pupils. So it's Steve with like fully white eyes. And that he appears to players in games, and like people identify him as like hostile. That's what the rumors say, like he'll kill you. But there's a lot of like YouTube videos I've seen, like fake or real, I don't know, where he's like just watching you from a distance, or like he'll come and appear like at your like where your habitat is, or like you'll see him in a cave just like watching you or standing there, and like
That's
he'll come
terrifying.
Close. And it is scary.
I hate being watched. That's so scary.
Hate being watched.
Minecraft?
Also,
oh my God.
Minecraft is like a 2D like flat. Well, it's not 2D. It's like a 3D flat texture game.
Yeah,
but like thinking of like this like character watching you like in the vastness of the world that is Minecraft, I'm like, that's so scary. And like sort of the rumor and the story goes on, and there's I'm going to give you some identifiers actually first.
Okay.
They say that you'll know if he's in your save file if that you see mysterious 2x2 tunnels. So those are tunnels that are the exact shape of a character, 2x2. So only he can fit in and walk through. Scary. And then,
like
if you see 2x2 tunnels, or if you're missing...
Oh, sorry. You know that comic book where I forgot the artist's name, but it's like this hole was meant for me, and like only the character could go through the mountain.
Is it Junji Ito?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I forgot the title of it, but what you just described was like, this hole is meant for me, and then they go through and then they come out. Okay.
That's so Junji Ito is so scary. If you haven't like, I think he had a Crunchyroll series, but if you haven't like just like seen images from the manga, terrifying.
So terrifying. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but continue.
No, you're totally fine. I almost wore a Junji Ito shirt today. Funny enough.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I have one. Or they say if you're missing glass or you spot tree trunks with their leaves missing, those are like factors that he's in your game. Rumor is that he's actually the ghost of the developer of Minecraft, the original creator Notch, like of his brother. His brother passed away at some point, and somehow it's been associated that it's his brother haunting the game. He doesn't always seem dangerous, but again, those sightings that you can look up on YouTube and watch are like him standing from afar, just watching you from the distance. And that's just so scary to me.
It's Minecraft, and people have had actual experiences with this, or I guess they could be like alleged.
I mean, you can watch things happen on YouTube now. I mean, like Minecraft's easy to mod, so like you never know. But
yeah.
Entertaining the possibility is fun because
that's terrifying.
You can't prove it wrong, I guess.
That's true. That's actually true.
You can't prove it right, but you can't prove it wrong.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. I have the heebie-jeebies.
Maybe it's just Dream, that Minecraft Twitch streamer. He's going to people's games just because he played so much
Shout
Minecraft.
out Dream.
But yeah, that's all I have for you. There's a bunch of creepypastas you can look up online. Some of them are a lot more terrifying than the others. Some of them are like more like if you like an urban legend. I think that's the general vibe of my favorite creepypastas. That's like the what if that, this happened a long time ago in gaming, and like watch out because it could happen again.
The only creepypasta I've ever read, and it had nothing to do with gaming, was just one that I stumbled upon on Reddit. I didn't know what creepypasta was the first time I saw it, okay? I felt so stupid, guys. You can roast me in the chat. I thought creepypasta was something that actually had to do with pasta. Like stuff you had to eat. Henry almost spat out his drink. So I'm reading this. I'm like, this isn't a recipe. I get down to the thing. It's all about this like horror, like this hospitalized. It was terrifying. Because it was around Halloween, and I thought creepypasta was when you like made
Halloween
pasta as like Halloween themed. Okay, so I was wrong. Yes, so I avoid that now. But thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you.
The scariest pasta to me is like a bland cacio e pepe, if I'm being honest. There's nothing worse. You won't believe it, everyone, but Dale's cracking up laughing because she thought that was so funny.
I definitely am not a stan of lasagna. So there we go.
I understand. I get that.
Yeah. But
well,
yeah.
We'll be right back, everyone.
Yeah,
but that's everything on creepypastas. Dive into them. They're so much fun. The YouTube content on them is fantastic. So check it out. We'll be right back, everyone, and love you so much.
Whether you play alone or you play with friends, horror games will always give you the ooga booga, the spooky feelings, the raised hairs, the goosebumps. They're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. And as we've proven on this week's episode, there's a huge genre and different varieties that anybody can enjoy. Whether you are a solo playing Alien or you're like Henry and you play The Forest, either way, you're going to feel some spook and you're going to feel some satisfaction. So horror games really are here for everybody.
Yes, I agree. I do think they are for everybody. I think I've gotten so many friends into the horror genre, mainly because of co-op games and those sort of good, genuine, fun times that you can have together that sort of supersedes the fear that is horror. Now, there are those solo games that are extreme fear, which there's an audience for that as well, but the horror genre is vast, and we've only slightly touched on it today, and maybe we'll touch on it in a few more episodes. Maybe we'll do some more horror content. Let us know what you think. Do you want us to dive in deeper? Because I think there's a lot we could definitely get into.
There definitely is even games that I haven't even talked about that are iconic. Free to play horror? No, truly iconic. Like we definitely do have to. Regardless if anybody wants it, we are going to do another one.
We don't care what you think. We're going to make another episode anyway.
But we actually do care what you think. So if you love the show, please tweet us. Tell your friends about it. You know, we're available to be listened to on all major platforms. Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and our YouTube videos, our VODs are uploaded every Wednesday on YouTube. So we're here for you all the time.
We are here for you. And speaking of like superseding that fear, I want to give a quick shout out to one of my favorite TikTok creators and Twitch streamers, and that is it's Robin M. Robin M has created this incredible environment and content where she is not fazed by horror games in the least. So she's playing these extreme solo horror games with jump scares, with like crazy environments, with these horrible things happening. She is unfazed and she is cracking jokes, and she is really open the horror genre to people by creating this sort of safe space and content for them to enjoy these games and stories, which are often really fantastic, but sometimes people stray away because of like the fear and the horror.
Oh, yes.
Shout out, it's Robin M. What?
You sent me her, and I do want to like back up this recommendation here, because Henry's like, you need to watch this person who like plays games. I'm like, okay, like unfazed, truly unfazed, and her commentary, iconic. Like I was laughing, and you know how I get scared like watching people play games? I don't get scared with her. Like she makes it so comforting. She does not flinch. That's a superpower. Yes. I honestly, maybe I should be afraid of Robin, because like, how do you not flinch?
Yeah. Oh, it's Robin. Shout out to you. You're fantastic. Great environment, great community. Make sure to check her out.
Truly. Before we wrap up this week's episode, Henry, do tell me what you plan on playing once we wrap up today.
To be honest, I've been very inspired by this episode, Dale. I think I might try to get a group of friends together for Devour.
Oh,
I've been a lot of solo gaming lately, not in the horror genre, of course, but going through some silly Devour might be fun times. I think it could be good. What about you?
I got this game called Bendy and the Ink Machine. It's a horror game. Have you heard of it?
I watched it on YouTube because I'm into the lore.
So I was like, okay, it's already downloaded because I was planning on playing it. So I was like, maybe I will. Maybe I'll update you guys.
You should.
If you don't hear from me in a week, it's because I lost my voice again, okay?
Lol. I actually do love that game. I'm excited for you to play. I've like really dived into the lore of that game, even though I don't play it. It's got a great story. So
we love
enjoy.
lore.
Can't wait to hear what you think.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, that's the end of this week's episode. It's been an absolute blast. Please do tweet us your opinions and what games that you love, what games that you're excited for. We'd love to hear from you. And we always have like a poll going on in our Spotify. If you scroll below, you'll see Henry is so great with putting these polls, these little questions. We love to hear from you. We love you. You know, it's important to spread the love.
For me, it's more that I'm nosy, but no, I'm just kidding. Oh, thank you so much. Make sure to share this episode with a friend. It's been such a blast hanging out with everyone this week. Dale, always a pleasure with you. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next week on next week's episode.
Have a great day. Bye.